Hi, I'm Angelique and welcome to our support series on the Mini Quilter. In this video, I'm going to show you how to assemble your Mini Quilter so you can get started in free motion quilting at home. What is the Mini Quilter? Well, it's a small portable hoop style frame designed for your domestic machine so that you can begin your free motion quilting journey without a huge investment. What the Mini Quilter does for you is it helps manage your fabric so you can concentrate on learning how to free motion quilt and alleviate the discomfort of pushing your fabric by allowing you to move your machine instead. All right, let's get started setting up your Mini Quilter. For this first step, you are going to need your left and right sidewall. You're going to need your 2 frame tracks. You're also going to need the 4mm Allen wrench and 4 screws, which are already pre-added to your sidewalls. So to get started, we are going to place our tracks so that they are flat on the surface. And then we will tilt up one of our sidewalls. And you'll see that there's a little hole for the screw to go into. So finger tight is fine. And now I have enough of it holding itself up for me that I can get the other side started. And same thing with the front track. The tracks are identical, so it doesn't matter which one goes where. They'll be the same, but the right and the left does make a difference. All right, so let's get these tightened up. And I like to slide them off so that I can easily use my Allen wrench without running into my table. And I'll tighten a little bit on both sides first so that I can try to get this square, and we'll test the squareness later. And you just want to check to make sure that your tracks are staying flat on your surface, so you know you didn't torque them too tight or make it to where they're a little off, and mine seem to be really flush. So that step is complete. Now we're going to add the front rail. If you are following along in the manual, you're going to see that I do this a little bit differently because I'm going to move the frame and I worry about the carriage moving around on me because I'm kind of klutzy. So that's why I just like to do it a little bit different. For this step, you're going to need the front rail, the 2.5mm Allen wrench, the 2 M4 by 25mm screws. The other thing you need to be aware of is that your screw holes sometimes can get covered by your swivels here for the elastic straps. So keep that in mind when you're looking for it, since you will have this way and having to screw it underneath, which is another reason why I don't like the carriage on there. All right, so I'm going to move this to the front. I'm going to carefully slide these in until they won't go any further. You don't have to force them. And then we're going to add the screws underneath. And our front rail is assembled. Now that we have the front rail on, we're ready to go ahead and add the bottom of our carriage. You may need that 4mm Allen wrench if you need to make any adjustments. So it is either direction, it doesn't matter. We're just going to make sure the 4 wheels are on the rails in the front and the back, and we're going to move it side to side several times and just check to make sure that all the wheels are staying on the tracks and are rolling. And if they're not, then that lets us know that our frame isn't quite square, and this is where you may need to do just a few little adjustments to your side rails. Now we're ready to finish assembly on our top plate, so I'm just going to slide this over so I have a little bit of space to work. What you're going to need for this one is the top plate, your 2 handles, the sewing machine clamps, and the 2.5mm Allen wrench. This is the front part of the top plate. The back one is here. You can tell because it's a little wider in the back. And you have these 2 screws here. They should come already a little bit loose from the factory. If they're not, you can go ahead and loosen them a little bit more. So remember, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. And then we're going to add the handles. The handles are universal, so it doesn't matter which one goes where. Slide those in, and they'll go only so far so that you know that they are there. And then you're going to go ahead and retighten the screws at the top to hold them in place. I'm going to lightly do them first, and then as I add some resistance then I will be able to adjust my handles how I would like them, and then I'll fully tighten them. Next, we're going to add the sewing machine clamps. Start by opening them up with the little slider thing there so that they are nice and loose. You want the rubber, the blue part here, facing inwards, and they just go in these squares, and then you can slide them back. And I would go ahead and snap them closed so that they don't slide off of the top of your carriage when you're moving it around. Now we're ready to put our top plate on our bottom plate. Again, we're going to move it front and back, make sure all of our wheels are touching. And now our carriage is ready for our machine. You want to put your machine so it is centered on the carriage so that you get lots of balance. We're centering from this side. Length is going to be determined by your machine. Once you get it set up, you want to undo the clamps here, and you're just going to press it up against the machine. You don't have to press it too tight, just nice and against there, and then when you push this down, it will lock it in place. If you get it too close, you could snap this, so you don't need to overdo it. Now that we have our machine on our frame, we're ready to put on the take-up rail. To do the take-up rail, we're going to take off our clips. And we're going to loosen on the back side, on both sides. We have this to adjust, and this is going to loosen this so we can put that through. Before you can put this on, you may need to adjust the height of your side rails here, because as you could kind of see, my machine sits higher than that. To do that, you have 4 knobs, 2 on both sides. Lift to any height and just loosely tighten them so that you can get your machine where you want it. So I'm just taking it all the way to the top height for now. Before sliding your bar in, make sure you push your machine forward because you're going to want this bar to go between your machine and the back here. So between your needle and the back of your machine. If you slide on one side first, you won't have to remove your bungees. So slide on one side. Move it to the other side. It should be flush. Then you can tighten those screws. Now we can adjust the height properly of the frame. This will change a little bit as your roll of material changes, but you should be able to just get your finger underneath there. So for my machine, there is a number 5 that seems to be the good height for where I have that. So I want to make sure that all of these are sitting at that same number 5, and then finger tighten all the knobs. We can add our clamps back on. Make sure that you slide your 2 bungees so you have 1 on each side. Place your clip on and twist it. Same with the other side. Next, we have to decide where we need to place the front bar, and that's going to be based on the chin length of your machine. To do this, you are going to need your 2.5 millimeter Allen wrench and the 2 M4 by 25 screws. Inside of the book, there is a chart if you want to measure the length of your chin. That would tell you the best placement. I'm going to move my machine up so it's just touching the back rail, and I'm going to take these side clamps off so I can see my letters. And so I am going to line this up so you have, I could do it to here, but I also know that when I'm quilting, I'm going to have the roll, and I don't want that in my way, so I want to give myself a little bit of extra space, and I'm going to take it to the B. So if you look here, so you have your A, B, and C with the line below it, whichever letter you decide you need to have it on based on your machine, you're going to slide that, and the line for that letter needs to line up with the back part of this plastic stand. And that's going to be sure that the notch is now in here, and we're now going to add the screw. And tighten with your Allen wrench. That's nice and secure. We can return our clamps on the sides. And if desired, we can add the center bungee. Your center bungee is Velcro. Your bungees should sit so that when you flip them over, they'll easily be able to clamp into your, or clip into your clamp like so. Which means I need to flip these ones around. As you can see, I have them backwards. There. All right, your mini quilter is all set up and ready to start your first quilt or your first practice quilt. If you have any questions about assembly, please refer to your assembly manual or even this little laminated thing that comes with it that gives you some quick little tips and tricks on how to do that. Or check out our website, gracefreight.com, where we have some additional information on setting up your mini quilter. In our next video, I'm going to show you how to prep your domestic machine for free motion quilting. I'm also going to show you how to do your first quilt sandwich, and we're going to load the frame and get started in that process. So please join me.